Trades back and forth, but this will favor the defense. They're spawned right on the point. Beautiful shot from Logix.
Yeah, Logix is just putting on a masterclass right now.
This week in the Overwatch League, the Seoul Dynasty is struck down while the Mayhem rise up. The Gladiators continue to tear through the league, and the San Francisco Shock prepares to evolve into their final form. Plus, we've got all the latest news and the best highlights from the past week.
They're not going to expect this grab. It comes so fast. It's a bigger shadow from Gesture as well.
Okay.
All right. There's everybody.
That fight was the definition of extra AF.
One of the biggest stories from last week was the LA Gladiators climbing to 3rd place in the Stage 2 standings, and this week they proved it was no fluke as they pushed their winning streak to 4 games.
Well, that last minute block, it's just unreal.
Yep.
To give you some context on this team's growth, just a few weeks ago, the Gladiators lost to the Dallas Fuel for the 2nd time in a row, and last stage they were 4-0'd by the Houston Outlaws. However, in their rematch with the Outlaws this week, they took the win with a great performance, and then they toppled the Florida Mayhem for good measure.
If you've ever played right, oh my goodness, a double Deadeye goes in and takes Jake and links her down.
The spark for all of this certainly seems to be the introduction of Fisher at the beginning of Stage 2. If there was ever a testament to the impact a good main tank can have on a team, this is it. Shaz and Big Goose on support were always great, but now they can perform even better, and with the space that Fisher is able to make, the DPS can run riot, and Bishu on Diva remains in his mech for much longer.
Yeah, and Logic's back on his Tracer, but that's what happens.
However, what really excited me about their performance this week was the unexpected tactics and compositions. Pulling out Sombra on King's Row attack, Shaz flexing onto all kinds of different heroes to keep the enemy guessing, and Hydration's Doomfist is also starting to yield results.
Okay, I mean, this is all comes because Asher has to play Widow, so they also want to Tracer. Hydration doesn't play Tracer, so he's on Lucio. It looks like the Gladiators have queued up mystery heroes here, but they're making it work.
The Gladiators are probably the most fun team to watch right now, and it's not just a gimmick, they're actually getting results from these tactics. Next week they face the Fusion and Uprising as they aim to get themselves into the Stage 2 playoffs. Definitely keep a close eye on this team.
Is the kill that really could swing things in the favor of Los Angeles Gladiators. A boot to the face. Clockwork is done.
Another team not to be sleeping on right now is the Florida Mayhem.
And that is it. There was a glint of hope. And a glint of possibility of capitulation for the Mayhem. But man, they finished the series. They carry out what they began in maps 1 and 2. It's a 2-game winning streak for the Florida Mayhem. Hot diggity dog. They played the Houston Outlaws tough last week as well.
Even just a couple weeks ago, the Mayhem were pretty much a write-off for most of their games, but in the last 2 weeks, their hard work, and in particular the coaching, seems to be really paying off.
You're 5v5, you can win.
Go,
Long and Mega.
I can ramp with beat now. Okay, waiting.
3, 2,
No.
This week they toppled the LA Valiant, putting themselves on their first 2-game winning streak of the season. Unfortunately, it was stopped by the Gladiators, but this too was a very close game, including a tie on Volskaya and the Mayhem taking Nepal 2-0.
First, before taking the fight on the point itself, this is definitely getting a bit out of hand here as the Gladiators with Fisher are able to withstand the push.
The Mayhem seems to be finally getting better results, but that will leave them some difficult questions to answer in the coming days. Their coaching staff was recently joined by the ex-Meta Athena coach Ryder, and 2 of his old players from Meta Athena are also joining the team very soon. So, do they start messing with the core lineup now that it's finally working, or will these new additions just be playing certain maps? We will have to wait and see, but I'm so pleased to see teams like the Mayhem and Gladiators now looking so much more competitive. Not every team had a great week, however, and the Seoul Dynasty's dominant 2-stage winning streak was brought to a halt in a close game with the New York Excel, before being completely driven off the road by the London Spitfire, who crushed them 4-0.
As we mentioned, doesn't have Noah Mercy up in the sky, or even the benefits of a Zenyatta orb. Nice Earth Shadow there from Miro, connects with 2. That'll get the payload rolling again.
As a result, Seoul drops down to 3rd place in the overall standings, with London moving up into 2nd. London also moved up to 2nd place in the Stage 2 standings, while Seoul dropped all the way from 1st down to 4th. Not what they want to see just a week before the playoffs.
They want to get aggressive yet again.
Flatter, Dragon Blade time.
6 seconds left.
He knows now it's his chance to go in. He's found 2. Flatter, get a D-suit here on Wu Yell, and that's a pretty good job done. He found both supports. The timing was excellent. He knew when the trans was over. Flatter comes in with some more.
Speaking of London, they also beat the Shock this week. They now have their sights set firmly on the Stage 2 playoffs and are looking at a pretty easy road to get there, facing Shanghai and Dallas next week.
Profit, no. Young money, cash money, billionaires, let's go!
New York reached the top of the Stage 2 standings this week, and unless the Valiant can get a big upset next week, this will be the second time they've finished a stage as the #1 seed.
But Seoul are already 2/3 of the way to capturing this one, and now it's going to be a nano blade time for Libero. Going to go in here. He's found Mirror already. Looking down for Toby. Decides Zuma might be the optimal target there. A slash through. And this is nasty. Oh, Libero! It's 5 kills. 10 HP left.
The San Francisco Shock fell against the London Spitfire, but were triumphant over the Houston Outlaws. This team have now been joined by a new signing in support player Moth, and also announced the acquisition of a star DPS player Architect, who will be joining them in Stage 3, along with Super, who will then be 18. Their other underage player, Sinatra, has also just turned 18 and will be making his debut next week. Boston brought their Stage 2 record to a more respectable 4-4 this week, with victories over Dallas and the Valiant. There has been some rumours around this team having internal troubles recently, which were shot down by official sources, but their main tank, Gamzu, has been out of action recently, and that's really cost them. Right now, I think he's one of the most underrated main tanks in the league, and with his return, they picked up 2 good wins.
No.
The LA Valiant had a rough time, first of all losing to the Florida Mayhem, before Boston later in the week. It is surprising how much this team have struggled in Stage 2. The 2 most important roles for most teams in the league right now are the main tank and Tracer, and Fate and Soon are 2 of the best in each of these positions. Hopefully they will recover quickly.
Well, that's exactly it. It's the dive comms that we're going to see. Oh, he throws a little kiss too. Once he got it for today.
The Houston Outlaws were hoping to have recovered from their losing streak after picking up a win at the end of last week, but the curse continues as they lost both of their matches this week.
So the fight hasn't totally stalled out, but it's looking like Gladiators, they're looking for some room to breathe here.
The Shanghai Dragons are still waiting on the arrival of their new players as they drop every single map this week. However, progress is being made by their new players on their visas, and they are expected to be arriving very soon.
There we go.
That's 2 gravitons. That's 2 gravitons. That's right, but that's not a pulse bomb coming through when Snillo needed it.
Dallas Fuel continue to drop in performance as they lost to both the Fusion and Boston without winning a single map. Fixing this team's problems looks like it's going to take some time, and the issues that plague them run a lot deeper than just roster changes.
Head out for him. It's just so hard. Oh, no!
Philadelphia had a pretty easy week overall against Dallas and Shanghai, and didn't waste the opportunity to boost their map differential by finishing both opponents 4-0.
It best young roster in the league right now.
Absolutely, and I mean, you could really make a case for almost anyone on Philadelphia Fusion to be player of the match.
This week had some amazing matches, and I already talked about how much fun it is to watch the Gladiators, but the best match has to have been Seoul versus New York. This was Overwatch on a knife edge. Nearly every fight was decided in the smallest of details, as both teams worked to take advantage of even the smallest mistake, while also focusing on not stepping out of line themselves.
Completely crumbled out of the weight of NYXL. You can see they wanted more, and Savior we did with that final kill on J-Hong just to clean up. 30 seconds is enough.
The opening game on Hanamura was a perfect example of this, as the series ended at 6-4 in favour of New York.
First map, New York Excelsior. These 2 teams are going to go all 12 rounds in the boxing ring, slugging it out, and we are in for a treat.
Seoul didn't wallow in defeat for long, however, as they struck back in another super close game, this time on Nepal, where they won 2 rounds to 1.
But Munster's got a pulse bomb, and it could be the fight end of the checkmate, the coup de grace, and there it is!
After halftime, the Dynasty came out strong, with a very good hold on Hollywood that was only broken in the end by Libero's barrage.
That's a huge barrage! Zumba and Miro have fallen, Supercharger also blown up, and just at the depth of things.
New York's victory was short-lived, however, as Seoul stopped the payload quickly around halfway through the next phase of the map, before opening up on their own attack with some triple tank to overwhelm New York's defence and get a quick take on the first point. Then, with the payload moving, they had ample time to reach the golden box of victory and go up 2-1 overall.
Alright boys, find each other's hands and get up to the next map. That was impressive from Seoul.
However, Seoul were unable to lock things up on Gibraltar when New York hit back, forcing a Game 5 tiebreaker.
We get ourselves a map 5! Make some noise! This is what we wanted!
The final map was Ilios, and both teams gave it their all. New York took an early lead with a victory on Well.
Seoul Dynasty
nasty go down in the first round.
However, as we moved into Ruins, Seoul did not give up, and Fleta pulled off some clutch Widowmaker shots to keep them in the running. However, it wasn't enough to stop New York, who claimed the final point, and with it, the 3-2 victory.
NYXL take the series 3-2. Once again, the victor in this epic matchup.
This was another instant classic between these two teams, and showed off some great moments from both sides. I can't wait to see them do battle again, and it's possible we might even get a rematch next week during the Stage 2 playoffs.
Savior B finishes 32 elims, 12 final blows, 2 deaths.
We had 2 new official signings this week, and that was the San Francisco Shock picking up Architect and Moth. Moth has already been in action this week, and Architect is expected to start in Stage 3. Rumours have also circulated around former Meta Athena player Arhan joining the Outlaws, but so far nothing is official. Only a couple of weeks remain in the transfer window, so it will be exciting to see if we get any last minute trades or signings as the teams prepare for the rest of the season. Looking at the overall standings, there have been 2 changes since last week, as the Fusion move up to 5th place, dropping the Outlaws down to 6th, while London move up into 2nd, causing Seoul to fall into 3rd. The San Francisco Shock also widened the gap between them and the Dallas Fuel. In the Stage 2 standings, Seoul have also dropped, this time from 1st to 4th, as London moves up into 2nd and New York moves up into 1st. This leaves the Excelsior in a great spot to reach the playoffs as the #1 seed. London's fairly easy week means that they're also likely to hold on to their 2nd place spot. The race for 3rd, however, will be close between the Gladiators and Seoul. The Fusion are also a team to keep an eye on, as they will have a chance to jump up in the standings as they play the Gladiators at the start of next week. So looking forward to playoff week, we have a lot of exciting games on the road to the title matches. The LA Gladiators kick things off in a game versus the Fusion, which will decide which of these teams has a chance of reaching the playoffs. We'll also get to see how well this quickly improving Mayhem team does against the San Francisco Shock. On day 2, the Outlaws will face Seoul in another game with playoff implications, and New York will be looking for a big victory over Dallas to further cement their place at the top of the standings. Day 3 sees Seoul in action again against the Mayhem. Fusion versus Valiant could also be an important game depending on the Fusion's results earlier in the week. Then the stage wraps up with London and the Gladiators both looking for big wins to keep themselves in the playoffs. Then, with our top 3 teams decided, the playoffs will take place this Sunday to see which of them is crowned Stage 2 champions. Which matches are you most excited about next week? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, this is James Vercass saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.